In the summer of 1994, Los Angeles once again became the center of the world's attention. Just 2 years after the city had burned during the Rodney King riots, another story unfolded, one that mixed celebrity, violence, race, and fame in a way no courtroom had ever seen. This is the story of OJ Simpson, football legend, movie star, and the man once called America's hero. It's also the story of how his trial changed Los Angeles forever. Orenthal James Simpson was born in 1947 in San Francisco's Potrero Hill Projects, a neighborhood marked by poverty and gang tension. By high school, his athletic ability was undeniable. After starring at City College of San Francisco, he transferred to USC in Los Angeles, where he became a phenomenon. In 1968, he won the Heisman Trophy, setting records that made him a national icon. To Los Angeles, OJ embodied everything the city loved: talent, charisma, and success. By the early 1970s, he was playing for the Buffalo Bills, shattering NFL rushing records and becoming one of the most famous athletes in America. Endorsement deals poured in, and Hertz made him the face of its national commercials. OJ sprinting through airports in a suit, flashing that trademark smile. When he retired from football, Simpson transitioned into Hollywood. He acted in movies like The Towering Inferno and the Naked Gun series, and became a fixture at country clubs, charity events, and Beverly Hills parties. By the late 80s, he was living in Brentwood, a wealthy LA neighborhood filled with celebrities. To most Americans, he seemed untouchable, but behind that public image was a marriage unraveling. OJ had married Nicole Brown Simpson in 1985, after meeting her years earlier while she was working as a waitress in Beverly Hills. They had 2 children and lived a glamorous life, but it wasn't peaceful. Police were called to their home multiple times for domestic violence incidents. In 1989, OJ pleaded no contest to misdemeanor spousal battery, receiving 2 years of probation, community service, and counseling. To many, it looked like a slap on the wrist. To others, it was a warning of what was coming. Then, on the night of June 12, 1994, everything changed. Nicole Brown Simpson and her friend Ron Goldman, a 25-year-old waiter, were found brutally murdered outside Nicole's condominium on South Bundy Drive in Brentwood. The crime scene was bloody and chaotic. Detectives soon focused on OJ Simpson, noting blood evidence, gloves, and shoe prints connecting him to the killings. Police found one bloody glove at the Bundy scene and another matching glove outside Simpson's home on Rockingham Avenue. Testing later linked the blood to OJ, Nicole, and Goldman, but what might have looked like a simple murder case soon became one of the most divisive trials in American history. On June 17, 1994, police moved to arrest Simpson, but he didn't show up. Instead, his friend Al Cowlings drove him across Los Angeles in a white Ford Bronco with OJ in the back seat holding a gun. The slow-speed chase that followed was broadcast live nationwide. An estimated 95 million Americans watched as helicopters tracked the Bronco down the 405 freeway. Hours later, OJ returned to his Brentwood estate, stepped out of the car, and surrendered peacefully. Inside the vehicle, police found a passport, a disguise, and a gun, an image that shattered his heroic reputation overnight. The trial of the century began in January 1995, with Judge Lance Ito presiding. The prosecution, led by Marcia Clark and Christopher Darden, argued that OJ killed Nicole and Goldman in a jealous rage. They presented blood evidence, photographs, and a history of domestic abuse. The defense, led by Johnny Cochran, Robert Shapiro, F. Lee Bailey, and Robert Kardashian, countered with a different story, that Simpson had been framed by racist LAPD officers. Their main target was Detective Mark Fuhrman, the officer who found the bloody glove at OJ's property. Fuhrman's credibility collapsed when tape surfaced of him using racial slurs and making false statements about his conduct. For many Black Angelenos, the defense's argument felt believable. The city was still raw from the Rodney King beating and the 1992 riots. The LAPD's history of racial profiling was no secret. Suddenly, the case wasn't just about murder, it was about justice in a city that had long denied it. The trial dominated television. Every hearing, every objection, every facial expression was broadcast live. It was the first true reality TV courtroom drama. Then came one of the most famous moments in legal history, the glove demonstration. When prosecutors asked OJ to try on the gloves, he struggled to fit them over latex. The defense seized the moment. Johnny Cochran's line, "If it doesn't fit, you must acquit," became legendary. On October 3, 1995, after 8 months of testimony and just 4 hours of deliberation, the jury reached its decision. OJ Simpson was found not guilty on both counts of murder. Outside the courthouse, the city split in two. Many black residents celebrated the verdict, seeing it as long overdue justice against a racist system. Many white Americans saw it as a miscarriage of justice. Polls revealed one of the sharpest racial divides in modern U.S. history. But OJ's freedom didn't mean his story was over. In 1997, a civil court found him liable for the wrongful deaths of Nicole and Ron, ordering him to pay $33.5 million in damages to their families. He lost nearly all his assets, and his public image never recovered. Then, in 2007, Simpson made headlines again, this time in Las Vegas. He led a group of men into a hotel room to retrieve sports memorabilia he claimed had been stolen. The incident turned into an armed confrontation. A year later, on December 5, 2008, Simpson was sentenced to 33 years in prison, with parole eligibility after 9. He served his time in Nevada's Lovelock Correctional Center, maintaining that he'd only been reclaiming his property. OJ was granted parole in 2017 after 9 years behind bars. Looking back, the OJ Simpson saga wasn't just a celebrity scandal. It was a mirror reflecting America's deepest divides. It exposed how race, fame, and media could collide to rewrite justice in real time. It showed how a courtroom could become a national obsession and how public opinion could split along color lines. To this day, people still argue about what really happened. Was OJ guilty? Was he framed? The evidence remains debated. The verdict remains polarizing, and Los Angeles remains forever tied to that white Bronco on the 405. In the end, the story of OJ Simpson is a story about power, how quickly it can rise, how easily it can fall, and how a single trial turned one man's tragedy into a cultural earthquake.